Do you have a distillery local to you? If so, does that distillery have a bottle that you tend to go to knowing that no one else is even privy to it if they're not in the area? Well, tonight we're going to bounce around the East Coast trying to find bottles just the same. Stay tuned. Welcome to the fifth day of whiskey. I'm Cyncere, and tonight we're going to dive into some local gems, not local to me, but local to some of the folks that have sent them to me. I'm always excited to try something new that you don't hear a lot of hype around, and you know that it's still created with the same care as some of the bigger distilleries, because the people that have taken the time out of their day to go and open a distillery have a love and a passion for bourbon, whiskey, or whatever it is they're distilling. So the three bottles we're diving into tonight are right here. From the great state of West Virginia, Smooth Ambler Contradiction. All the way from PA, we have McLaughlin 37.99 bourbon whiskey. And from Maine, we have Stroutwater Distillery bourbon whiskey. Again, three places that I don't go to on a regular basis. I just so happened to be in Uniontown, PA, and saw this on the shelf. Shout out to everybody who's contributed to the cause tonight. No hard feelings over which one wins, which one quote unquote loses. At the end of the day, I'm just excited to try something different. Let's get started. Given my voice still isn't up to 100, we're going to do a blind tasting tonight, following the same format that we followed for yesterday's video for the Bardstown Bourbon Company bourbons. We're going to nose each one, go back through, sip each one, eliminate one, take a final sip of the last two, and then pick the winner. Then after that, we're going to do a simple listing, depending on how my voice is doing by the time we get there. At least determine whether they belong on the naughty or nice list and explain a little bit as to why. Let's dive right in. Given the color on all of them look almost identical, I have no clue what I'm setting myself up for. And given it's not a traditional review video, I have no clue what mash bills and things of that nature that I'm even up against. So I'm relying solely on a damaged palate and a congested nose. So this will be interesting. For yesterday's video, my favorite didn't come out on top, but I'll still keep going back to it because I know deep down inside, it is one of my favorites. A blind is a blind, and your go-tos are your go-tos. All right, let's give all three of these a nose. Starting with A. I know I've said it the last three videos more than I've said it in my entire life, but I'm getting these spearminty rye notes on some of the first noses of these whiskeys, and this one, same thing. And again, I don't know the mash bills off the top of my head, so for all I know, one of these could be a high rye. Probably should have did a little bit more digging before doing a blind, but I've been telling my friends and family I'd do a video on this for a while, so what better opportunity to do it than when I have to go off the rails because I'm too sick to talk in depth on some of my traditional review videos. Almost get a like bubblegum scent on this. Let's take a sniff of number 2 or B. At least my yellow dot says B. All right, now we're cooking with grease. This is not a rye. If this is a rye, then it's definitely my nose and palate that are shot. This is very bright citrus, bright tropical fruit of some sort. Very fruitful. And I mean that in more of a literal sense. It's very fruity. It's almost like a candy of some sort, like a fruit candy. All right, let's get the nose on C. So this one, similar to what happened when I nosed the Fusion series in my last video, this one seems a little more muted compared to the other two. Maybe some dried fruit, like maybe like even a date. It's got a really sweet nose to it. It's just not as strong as the other two in terms of producing scents. All right, let's get a sip on A. So on this one, I get a nice oak, like a nice light oak taste to it. I don't remember which one I was nosing. I said I smelled bubble gum, but I get a little bit of bubble gum on the taste on this one. And that may have been what was tricking my brain into the spearmint. It's definitely not the same thing, but maybe my brain was thinking gum and I automatically went rye and spearmint since I've had so many spearminty rye tastes in the last couple of days. But this is actually really good. Let's try B. So I'm getting a little bit of baking spice on that nose too. That one will wake you up. It gets spicier on that back end. Peppery yet smooth. By that I mean on the front, you get that peppery bite, but then as it goes down, it transitions into more of a rich oak, maybe even a bitterness like a darker chocolate, but not too chocolatey. I can't put my finger on what sweeter note I'm getting, but it's not so sweet that it's creme brulee or confectionery sugar or anything like that. It's something more stout, more potent. And dark chocolate comes to mind when I think of kind of the feel it leaves when your mouth, it leaves it kind of dry at the end. So if I had to put my whiskey detective skills to use, C seems to be the lowest proof, to the point that it almost drinks like Benchmark 8 to me. And Benchmark 8 is one that I think has all the potential in the world whenever you put it at some of the higher proofs. But at the regular 80 proof that it is, and I'm sure this is higher than 80. I don't recall when I looked at these, I don't think any of these were nowhere close to 80. I think they were all in the 90s or over 100. But this one has that smoothness to it, almost like when you imagine you take a 120 proofer as your first sip of the night, and then you go drink Buffalo Trace. All you taste is caramel and your sweeter notes. You don't get any of that Kentucky hug anymore because your palate is already wide awake. It's almost overly alert when it comes time to go back to something like this. So I think that this does have a good flavor to it, but I think it's a little bit underwhelming compared to the other two. So I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate C. So we're down to A and B. Go back through them both, compare, contrast, and let's pick a winner. Here's A. See, I'm getting like something chocolatey on this one. I don't know what it is on the nose. I don't know that it's a double oaked or anything like that. But I get some sort of a dark chocolate on this one. Maybe even like a butterscotch toffee even. Let's give it a try. See, this time I get almost that same butterscotch or toffee note that I'm getting, but it's almost like Booker's. I get that peanuttiness of Booker's with something so sweet, like wet nuts even. Something that's drizzled, some sweetness that's drizzled over top of the peanuts that gives it that sweeter first taste, and then that finish and that back half of the palate, you get the peanutty taste. I do really like this. All right, let's give B a shot. So this one, like I said, I get that peppery burn. I'd be willing to bet that there's rye in whatever this one is. This takes me back to my initial take on rye when you got that rye spice and it almost tingled a little like a cinnamony taste to it. I know that on one of these I said I got bubble gum. I don't get the bubble gum this time. I do get like a richer vanilla It's got to be rye spice. I get like a rye baking spice in this. And then on the taste, I got some of the rye spice. I got that vanilla and I got that peppery bite. It could be the rye spice masking as a peppery bite to me, just because that's always the way that my palate has dissected rye on the first or second sip of the night. This is going to be close, man. This is close. I'm going to have to take one more try. So this worked out a little better than I anticipated. C was the first one eliminated, and that was the Strout water. And then it came down to A and B at the final face-off, and it was close enough that it could have really been a draw. But B, which was my West V's finest, Smooth Ambler, got the second. And then A, hats off to the $37.99 as tonight's winner. Very, very close between this and the Smooth Ambler. Don't get me wrong, the Strout water was good. I just think that after you have, you know what? Let's look at the proof. This one's saying only 90 proof. It drank higher than 90 proof to me. The Smooth Ambler, I do remember looking this one up because my bottle says 92. And everywhere on their website, and I don't know if this is maybe an older bottle or what, everywhere on their website is advertising this at 100 proof. But these two drank higher than the Strout water, which is also 90 proof. So if I'm looking solely at their bottles and their labels, these are all right at 90, 92 proof. As for why this one drank a little bit more dulled down after having a sip of these two, I'm not sure. But I will say I now have even more bourbons I can go to within my collection that Friday night pour time, I know I won't be able to travel around and get these except for maybe the Smooth Ambler consistently, but I do have people that can get me the other two when they do their family visits and things of that nature. So I do think it would be worth seeing where these bottles go as they continue to open up. So let's go into the Cynple listing really quickly. McLaughlin Distillery, $37.99, MSRP $70, age 4 years, proof 90 proof. Obviously the distillery is McLaughlin. Naughty or nice list. This one is gonna go on my nice list. I do believe it's worth the $70 at the 90 proof. So if you're ever in Pennsylvania or if you see this on the shelf somewhere, I don't know where they distribute to, this would be a good one to pick up. Smooth Ambler, MSRP $40, age 2 different blends, 2-year and a 9-year blend. Proof 92 proof. At least my bottle's 92 proof. Their website advertises a whole lot of 100 proofs. Distillery, Smooth Ambler, Naughty or Nice list. This will be one that I go back to again as well. Even if this is 92 proof, it does drink above its proof. So this will be a good one to share with friends because I know we don't have it down here. So next time I get the guys over here for bourbon night, this will be one that I put out in the mix. Not as much information on the Strout water one. When I look this one up, it says that the distillery is permanently closed. Anybody that's a local Maine resident that can tell me more information as to what may have happened or if they were sold and bought by another company and maybe I'm just looking them up by their old name. For all I know, they now have a whole different brand. But with that being said, that makes me even more interested to do some research and figure out just what it is that I have versus what they may be doing now, if anything at all. So hopefully you enjoyed tonight's blind, seizing the opportunity to try different bourbons and whiskeys that aren't on your whiskey YouTubers' #1 top 10 bourbons and things like that are always something that I would recommend strongly. All three of these had unique flavor profiles that I would never have tasted had my friends and family not sent me these bottles. Won't name names aside from my boy Vance. Thank you, Vance, for the Smooth Ambler. I named you in the last video. We've already talked about that. So for the other folks that have was able to hook me up and come through on this one, appreciate the love, support. I'll do deep dive reviews on all three of these bottles once we get into the new year. I'd love to know what some of the locals to some of these areas think about these. Are these like the go-tos? Like for me, John J. Bowman, I will keep 1 and 2 bottles of John J. Bowman on hand at all times. It is one of my favorites, and the distillery is here in Fredericksburg. So if that's the boat you're in with any of these three, cool, let me know. If not, and you have questions about any of these three, feel free to let me know what questions you have in terms of what I tasted and in terms of what I'm about to dig up once I start looking into these a little bit further. If you enjoyed the content, don't forget to like, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and stay up to date on all things Cynple whiskey. As we approach the holiday, I'll leave you with this. Don't forget to break away from the daily grind. Spend some time with those that you truly care about and embrace that time. Share a pour for the good times, share a pour for the bad times. Either way, life's too short to only live in one moment. So keep it moving and keep it simple. Cheers.